can see behind me in my small little whiteboard, we are just 15 days away from the Clash at the Coliseum on February 6th. Welcome back to the episode of Inside Lines. My name is Jet. Hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday afternoon. Now, we have two stories to talk about regarding the future of NASCAR in terms of its schedule. Now, schedule has been a hot topic for NASCAR since 2020, with them leaving old racetracks like Kentucky and venturing into new markets and holding more debut events like Gateway this year. Also having some, let's just say, unusual races like the Bristol Dirt Race going to COTA and Road America. But in 2022, the big debut is definitely the Clash at the Coliseum in Los Angeles. And according to Ben Kennedy, who is the Senior Vice President of Strategy and Innovation at NASCAR, depending on the success of next month's inaugural event, could hold future races in terms of, 2023, 2024 for NASCAR racing at the Coliseum. In a tweet posted by Adam Stern yesterday, he says that Ben Kennedy said he is leaning toward keeping the Coliseum somewhere on NASCAR's schedule over the next couple years following 2022. But a final decision by the full leadership team will not be made until after next month's inaugural event. Now, obviously, this makes sense. We have no idea, first of all, how this event is even going to play out. It would be jumping the gun to determine what future races would be like for the Coliseum without knowing how the inaugural event would do first. Now, I want to talk about, at least in a hypothetical situation, let's say the Clash of the Coliseum, let's say that's a success. Great turnout, NASCAR gets new market, new fans, great racing, let's say that. Okay. The future of NASCAR at the Coliseum, where would it take place? Well, there will be three options. Number one, a points-paying event. Now, this would be the least likely, in my opinion. First of all, number one, if you're going to have a race in the season, it's going to have to be before August, because in September, college football season starts for the USC Trojans, and they hold their games at the Coliseum. So, of course, it has to be prior to the fall. All right, points-paying event. More than likely would be around March or April. I would give that a time frame. But I feel like with the hype of, and not only the hype, but just the unusual circumstances of holding a football style short track for a points paying event, don't think would work out very well. Now, yes, I know we have the Bristol Dirt Race, but I think for an event like this, I don't think it doesn't feel right for it to host a points-paying event. It's more of a spectacle, with it being in the middle of LA, or at least in the LA area, and how big and historic the venue is. I think it's best that it remains a spectacle as an exhibition event rather than a points-paying event. So I see this as the least likely situation, but I won't be surprised if NASCAR takes that route. Now, the second option would be that it would remain as the season opener, as the Clash event, as an exhibition shootout. Early February, it could hold that place for future seasons. Or the third and most likely option, I could see it as a replacement for the All-Star Race. Now, the All-Star Race has been dead for about 10 years. Maybe 2012, 2013 was the last time it had some form of significance. With them moving the All-Star Race, NASCAR moving the All-Star Race to Texas has all but killed it. I mean, at this point, it's just digging its own grave because Texas is a horrible racetrack. No one cares about the All-Star Race. In fact, even Jeff Gluck, when he listed all 38 races based on hype or anticipation, the All-Star Race was dead last. So that tells you how little care there is about the All-Star Race, especially at a track like Texas. But if you move the All-Star Race to Los Angeles, Saturday night under the lights in LA, it could rejuvenate or at least bring the All-Star Race back to life. Again, this will all depend on how the turnout goes for this month's or next month's Clash event. If it's a success, then you can move it to around mid-June, mid-June, early July, host an All-Star Race at the Coliseum, and you could bring back some hype to that event. And also, the LA area is filled with entertainment venues, so you can make a whole week out of it. You can bring back the Pit Crew All-Star competition that we've been wanting to see for a long time. Hell, you can even have burnouts at some streets in LA. You can do that. Hold a week-long event prepping up for the All-Star Race on Saturday. That's a huge possibility. I think that's something that NASCAR should be looking at if they want to hold this event, hold the Coliseum event at future races in the following years. Now, if NASCAR were to, let's say, put the Coliseum in the All-Star race, what does that mean for the Clash? I think the Clash, depending on the success, again, this will all depend on how good this goes next month. If there is great racing for a football-style short track, NASCAR will definitely look at other markets around America in the city to host the Clash race, or to host a Clash event at football-style stadiums. Or they could maybe go to more historic racetracks like Nashville Fairgrounds, which is getting an upgrade, or a certain racetrack in North Carolina by the name of North Wilkesboro. And that's where we will be transitioning to our next story. Now, North Wilkesboro, it has not been on the NASCAR calendar since 1996. It has not hosted a race regardless since 2011 and has been left there to rot. Ironically, the company that killed North Wilkesboro is the same company that's bringing it back to life, Speedway Motorsports Incorporated, specifically with its main guy, Marcus Smith. Now, on Thursday night at a Wilkes County Commerce event, Marcus Smith shared his vision for the future of North Wilkesboro Speedway to the board at the county. And it's a combination, as he said, that to mix the old with new, to keep the prestige of the history of North Wilkesboro, but giving it more of a facelift. He said, quote, "I think there's a bright future ahead for North Wilkesboro Speedway. It wouldn't happen without the amazing community support that is in this room, as well as the people who have been out at the Speedway to help us bring the Speedway back. Anybody might have said this place is too far gone, but this community rallied and brought it to a place where we can rebuild it, and it can be a fantastic jewel. Water, sewer, electricity, roads, connectivity, those are a lot of the building blocks that we need to get done. We want to keep the character of the property, celebrate the history, but of course make it safe, convenient, and enjoyable for everyone who comes to visit. In the car world, I would call it a resto mod. It's going to look old, but it's going to work new. When you think about nostalgic opportunities, this is one of those 1 in a million opportunities. Our hope is to celebrate the history and look forward to the future. North Wilkesboro Speedway is an amazing historic place for NASCAR. It's almost like Fenway Park is to baseball. I think with this money from the state and the American Rescue Plan, we can make some dreams a reality at North Wilkesboro Speedway." And I like the idea. If you take a look, we're going to show you some photos of the ideas that Marcus Smith has for what North Wilkesboro Speedway could look like. And I like the idea that he says that it's going to look old but work new. I think for a track like North Wilkesboro with so much history at this racetrack, you don't want it to give it a complete facelift, like something that it looks like a completely brand new racetrack that you've never seen it before. You want to keep the history but still give it a facelift. It's like what he said, like a retro mod in the car world. It's like you get a very old, jacked up, you get a very old, let's say 1970s Camaro or Dodge Challenger. I'm just throwing out car names. It's old, rusty. You want to polish it up, but you still want to keep the look of a Dodge Challenger from the 70s. So you polish it up, give it some new tires, clean it up and everything like that, get some new seats, whatever. But again, you don't completely change it so it looks nothing like the Challenger from the 70s. So yeah, that is the idea that Marcus Smith is going for the look of North Wilkesboro. He also talked about the possibility of hosting more than just motorsports events like concerts and other entertainment options. He also talked about the future of holding a NASCAR Camping World Cup Series event, thanks of course to the CEO of Camping World, Marcus Lemonis. Marcus Smith said, quote, "We specifically, and I'll thank Marcus Lemonis for his voice of support. We specifically think it's a real possibility to bring back NASCAR and the Camping World Truck Series to North Wilkesboro Speedway. Those races are nationally televised events, and it's a national NASCAR touring series. We have a number of those races in our portfolio, and I would love to see one of those here." So yeah, that is where we're at with North Wilkesboro Speedway, and I'll be honest, I am in disbelief. If you were to ask me even 3 years ago the possibility of North Wilkesboro coming back, I would have thought you were crazy. I thought there was no way North Wilkesboro would ever be a part of not only just NASCAR, but just racing in general. I thought it would just be left there to die, and then one day it would get demolished. That's what I assumed. And to go from that to now possibly having a truck series event there and having a renovation project to look somewhat new, to look new now, it's amazing. And again, it's so ironic that the team, or at least the company that killed North Wilkesboro Speedway, is the one that's bringing it back. It's really funny, but I'm very glad that Marcus Smith and Speedway Motorsports Incorporated are taking the initiative and making the necessary steps forward to try and bring back North Wilkesboro Speedway, and also trying to build back Nashville Fairgrounds. We also know that project and that racetrack is coming along very well, and in the process of NASCAR going back to that racetrack in the near future. So yeah, it's a lot of good things going on with NASCAR, specifically with the future of the sport and returning to its old roots. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds for North Wilkesboro. And hopefully very soon we could see a NASCAR race there in a couple years, maybe by 2024 or somewhere around that era. But that is going to conclude this episode of the Inside Lines. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. But until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Of course, use code RGN at checkout, get 30% off your next purchase, and I will see y'all next time.